Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and I'm a bit under the weather today if you couldn't hear. So, those of you listening to this on the podcast, I apologize if I'm sounding a little stuffy. I am a little stuffy, but it is Breaches of the Week, and before we dive in, I'd like to thank the following people: Chris Fellon, Dr. Christopher Gay, Lee Newbecker, and David Walker. Guys, thank you so much for sending in information, links, all of that. If I missed your name, please let me know. I will do it on next week's Breaches of the Week. And with that, let's dive in. We are starting with Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland. Now, a student improperly downloaded personal information and test scores for more than 1,000 students from a college prep program. Now, on October 3rd, he did this, and it impacted 1,344 Navient accounts tied to Wheaton High School in Silver Spring. Now, a student wrote a program that basically tried various combinations of usernames and passwords to gain access to this. And so if you have a student in Montgomery County School, specifically Wheaton High School in Silver Spring, heads up to you. And we're actually going to be talking about Navients in a little bit too. But moving on, let's talk about Pitney Bowes. This is a massive corporation, and they just got hit with the ransomware attack, according to a statement released from them. And basically, they say there is no evidence that any customer account has been impacted in terms of data, but the company has released very few details at the moment, but they say they're working with third-party consultants to resolve. They also said that their postage meter and SendPro products can be used safely, but that clients are unable to refill postage, upload transactions, order supplies, or manage their accounts. They do not believe that their clients are at risk. They may have already fixed this as well, as this was near the beginning of the week. So if you're a Pitney Bowes customer, heads up to you. Moving on, we're talking about the European airport. Now, I don't know if that is the actual title of the airport or if they're talking about a specific European airport, but when I Googled this thing, this is the only thing I could find. Basically, we are looking at a major airport in Europe, assuming it's called European Airport, that got hit with Monero crypto mining and basically infected over 50% of the computers in that airport. And so obviously that's a huge issue, and they are working to resolve and wipe that out. Moving on, let's head to Canada, and we're talking about Canada Post. Now, they are resetting all the passwords for their online customer accounts after a report that some personal information may have been compromised in 2017. Now, the Postal Service says that login names and passwords stolen in privacy breaches elsewhere may have been used to access Canada Post accounts if basically customers reused their credentials on multiple sites. This is also called a credential surfing attack. If I have a username and password somewhere, I'm going to try it everywhere to try to get in. This is why we don't use the same password for multiple sites, especially ones with sensitive information or money in them. Moving on, let's talk about Mercedes-Benz, the luxury car maker. Now, Mercedes-Benz car owners have said that the app they use to remotely locate, unlock, and start their vehicles is starting to display other people's account and vehicle information. Now, TechCrunch spoke to two customers who said that basically the Mercedes-Benz connected car app was pulling information from other accounts, not their own, allowing them to see other owners' names, recent activities, phone numbers, and more. So heads up, if you own a Mercedes-Benz that has the remote app for this, I have no doubt that several German engineers are being fired at the moment. That's how Mercedes rolls. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Brian's Club. Now, this is actually one of the largest underground stores for buying stolen credit card data, and it is jokingly named after Brian Krebs, a cybersecurity researcher who I consider a colleague. I follow him, and if you don't follow Brian Krebs, you really should. His writing is absolutely awesome. So this was actually hit. Brian's Club, no relation to him, obviously. Data stolen from Brian's Club encompasses more than 26 million credit card and debit card records taken from hacked online and also brick and mortar retailers over the past 4 years, including almost 8 million records uploaded to the shop in 2019 alone. So that is a massive data breach of actually pretty much an identity theft forum, if you will, in the quote unquote dark web. So heads up, not to Brian Krebs, but heads up, your information may have been in there. Moving on, let's talk about Port Orange, Florida, the city of. They are suspending their online payment system to investigate a possible breach. This stems from the Click2Gov breach, which happened last year, and we saw a slew of local municipalities and cities, etc., actually come out and declare this. And so now that I'm starting to see this resurge over the last couple of weeks, I'm wondering if there is another click-to-gov breach that everybody's dancing around, but not has officially been confirmed, none that I could find anyway. Moving on, let's talk about Downingtown Area School District in Pennsylvania. Now, officials have been alerted to a potential attack on the Naviance, if you remember that from the very first thing I talked about, accounts used by high school. Now, Naviance, to just dig into this more, is a college and career resource website that basically assists students, in obviously going to college, their postgraduate goals, all this kind of stuff. Now, basically, whoever did this was able to obtain teacher level access to these accounts, and they were able to exploit these systems and extract student profile information on this. So we have two different hits looking, this is what it's looking like. One in Montgomery County, Maryland, the other in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. And so heads up, if you have a student in either one of those, good luck to you. You might have been compromised. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the very last thing that we're going to be talking about today, and that is Hillary's email server. And yes, we are actually going there because we have some news on that, and I think this is absolutely interesting. And it's really funny, before the 2016 election, when I was on stage, one of the first three questions I got asked was about Hillary's email server. And then in the aftermath of the election, when I was on stage, one of the first three questions I used to get was the Russians hacking the election. So here we are revisiting something from 2016 and earlier. But this is according to the Associated Press. The State Department has completed their internal investigation into former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's private email server and found violations by 38 people, some of whom are going to be facing disciplinary action. Now, here's what's going on. Launched more than 3 years ago, it basically determined that those 38 individuals were quote-unquote culpable in 91 cases of sending classified information that ended up in Hillary Clinton's personal email server. This is the one that she was running out of her home in Chappaqua. Now, this is according to a letter that was sent to Senator Chuck Grassley and then officially released on Friday. These 38 people are current and former State Department officials, and they were not publicly identified. Now, and I quote here from the Associated Press, although the report identified violations, it said investigators had found, and I quote, no persuasive evidence of systemic, deliberate mishandling of classified information. However, it also made clear that Clinton's use of the private email had increased vulnerability of classified information, and that it absolutely did. We have compliance law for government officials for very specific reasons, for data retention, as well as transparency. And so the people that are chanting lock her up in this sense, she didn't actually break criminal law, but she did break compliance law. And had this gone on when she was a Secretary of State, she could have been removed from that post, or she could have lost her clearance, and on and on and on. And, and I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of, oh, Nick, no, lock her up, do whatever. I'm not getting into that debate. I'm simply stating the facts as it is, and per compliance law, she actually did break that, and 38 people are also now facing some kind of discipline for sending classified information to a private email server outside of the scope of the government purview. So no redundancy, no transparency. And so those are your breaches of the week. Were you affected? Hopefully you weren't, and I hope you're not one of the 38. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And thank you for putting up with my sickness. I am not feeling so hot. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.